today is going to fundamentally change life in America for every man, woman, and child, and not in a good way. To be certain, the upper income levels will be inconvenienced, but the middle class and the poorest Americans shall be devastated. Look, we marked up the energy and commerce portion of this bill over 3 days last week. No Republican amendments were adopted. It is a highly, intensely partisan product that will cost the American taxpayers probably $4.5 trillion over 10 years. I say that because we don't have a Congressional Budget Office score. I know you're advertising $3.5 trillion, but we do not know what the score is on this. CBO will not finish their task for several more weeks, after which this thing, prior to which this thing will be the law of the land. It's a dangerous way to legislate. It is dangerous for the economic future of our country. Does anyone think inflation is no longer a concern? Do you think pumping over $4 trillion into this already overheated market, we're practically going to ensure that the economy overheats and maybe even melts down? And we are going to require then the Federal Reserve, the central bank, to raise interest rates on American families. We are going to devastate our nation's energy and our nation's healthcare. This is by design an anti-energy bill. Let's be honest about it. We should commit to making energy more affordable and more reliable and more accessible, but this bill does none of those things. So recently we had an opportunity to see what an energy independent America looks like, and that is a good thing. And now in the first 8 months of this administration, they're going hard in another direction because they want America to be energy dependent on other countries that don't like us. And yes, we are going to raise prices. We are going to raise the cost of energy for over hundreds of dollars for average families. Yes, those are families that make under $400,000 a year and will be subject to a tax increase. It also includes the Clean Electricity Payment Program. This is Waxman Markey dressed up in different clothes and supposed to be more palatable, but it is not. The idea is a zero carbon source electricity market by 2030, but it doesn't work. It distorts markets and then penalizes the sources of energy that actually do work. So what do we get? More cost, less reliability, less resilience of our grid. It also contains some significant changes to the healthcare system, creating a one-size-fits-all health program, decimating innovation, decimating quality of care. Look, you don't have to believe me. Google Charlie Gard. It's spelled G-A-R-D. Have some tissues handy because it is a sad story of what happens when the central government controls all your healthcare decisions. Drug pricing provisions, we're going to force businesses to essentially abandon America as a place to do business. Why? Because if they don't negotiate to the government's satisfaction, they're going to be charged a 95% excise tax for every new product they bring to the market. Look, we were hit with this pandemic. We didn't have an antiviral. We didn't have a vaccine. We didn't have monoclonal, polyclonal antibodies. In less than a year, we had all of those things and then some. That situation would no longer exist if we enact these provisions. And then the Democrats have decided to ignore the 60% of Americans who oppose taxpayer-funded abortions. This legislation eliminates the Hyde Amendment, eliminates Hyde protections, so federal dollars will be used to subsidize the big abortion industry. How is that going to work out? It will not end well. So the magnitude of the changes contemplated in this reconciliation package require the full input of Congress, not just a few on the Democrat side. The expansion to Medicaid alone that they're proposing, federal Medicaid in Texas, would be a federally funded abortion mill. And that is not something that the American people want. I yield back.